All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is part two of the Truthful Inside with the main man himself, Mike Jackson. So, we left off at the UFC Whitehouse card. We had just wrapped up our discussion. Now, I want you to give me an insight over the crossover scene. We have seen the rise of influencer boxing. It started in 2018, and now it has kind of transcended over the years because that now I will say that as someone that has been watching the UFC, as someone that has been watching mixed martial arts ever since before they had custom shorts, ever
Wait,
since
wait, wait, wait. When did you get it? When did you start watching MMA?
my old man introduced me when I was 10 years of age, and my very first fight was Nick Diaz versus Robbie Lawler.
Ooh, okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay. I give it. Okay, let's go.
Yeah,
Let's go.
and we also started with boxing. And my he took me to Marvin. So we watched Marvin Hagler versus Thomas Hearns.
Ooh,
My
okay.
my my
Yeah,
father
let's
my father
go.
knows ball. I credit the reason why I'm doing media and mixed martial arts to him because of what he's shown me over the years. So I want to know from where we have gotten from MMA to now we have mixed martial artists taking part in boxing. I will say I'm not the biggest fan of it. And the main reason why is because, you have fighters that have done so much in the sport. Take a good example of Tyron Woodley. He was the former undisputed five-time defending welterweight champion, and he had already done, his piece in MMA as a champion, and then all of a sudden, it's revealed that he is going to be one of Jake Paul's opponents. And he goes out there in the first fight, kind of lackluster, and then the second fight he gets knocked out. And it kind of got me thinking, man, this is just really, in my eyes, I will see it. I'm not in agreement with it. So, Mike, is a mixed martial artist, and also someone that has been on the boxing side, please give me your insights.
Ooh, man. All right. So there's so many layers to this, right? The first I'll give just the growth of influencer boxing or influencer. Are they have they reached the MMA side of it yet, or is just boxing to your knowledge?
It's a little bit of both. Boxers are taking
Okay,
part in
okay.
MMA, and MMA fighters
So
going into
let's say
boxing. Yeah.
we'll say we'll just throw it together. Influencer fighting. The reason influencer fighting itself is growing has to do with the growth of the sport of MMA in itself. That's one thing. But you also have to remember before influencer fighting was a thing, you had a lot of guys who were doing like these backyard fightings. Um, on the city local levels, you have people who put on smokers, like, but smokers are more just like it's a level right below amateur fighting. But you have these guys who are fans of fighting, and I always tell people, right, that particularly men, most men feel they can fight, whether they've ever been in a fight in their life or not. It's just inherent in men to say, as like a protector and do all these manly things. Like men inherently feel they can fight until it's time to fight, right?
Mhm.
And so what happens is you have people who they want to, oh, I want to get into fighting and this, that, and the other, and there's no avenue for it. So that was put a pin in that. Then you have the popularity and rise of just influencers on social media, and you put it where these guys like a Jake Paul, who that's how he started. You know, he's on social media doing his YouTube thing. Eventually, like the Instagram and all these other social medias pop up, but these people have millions of followers, and you have to remember, like back in the day, there. Are you familiar with tough man competitions?
Tough man competitions. Unfortunately, I
So
don't. It's not ringing a bell at the minute.
So what a tough man competition was back in the day, probably like 80s, 90s, is you would have these guys, like, think about people who fight bars, right? So you would get these guys who have, again, no fighting experience, right? But they inherently feel they can fight. So you put these two guys in the ring, give them some boxing gloves, and it's like 1 minute round. Because again, remember, like, these guys are not fighting; they're not fighting shape. They can't last 3 minute rounds. So you give them like some minute round, and like dude would go out there and bang it out. So this is like the early. This is like the precursor for influencer fighting is like these tough man competitions. So given where we are, you have guys who have that. Remember, I said earlier where people get like there's an animosity between people, these fighters, right? And so if you have these two guys who are influencers who never fought, but they got beef, what other way to settle this
Hmm.
than a fight? So you get it, but again, these guys have millions of followers. So if you got two, let's just say combined, these dudes have 10 million followers. You don't think out of 10 million followers that they have combined that at least I'm gonna say, let's say 20 about 2.5. That's 2 mil. I'll just go 2 mil. 2 million people won't tune in. That's 20% of your followers. You don't think 2 million people would tune in to watch these guys who know they have beef? And let's see what happens. People love these internet fights. When you see mad, crazy street fights, two dudes like get out of track meet or
Hmm.
some shit, they start fighting, and what's gonna happen? It's the same thing. We inherently, as a the as what's the, I forget the words, like just our natural thing is let's just watch fighting. I think us as a species, it's almost it's like the I forget my little sayings, but you watching a bus crash, like you watch a crash going on, but like the buses fires going on, you just looking. That's what this fighting is, right? That's what this influencer fighting. You have these people who are unskilled, but they have influence. They have a lot of followers. Let's make it happen. So you have that. You have people seeing that grow, but then going back to what we said not too long ago about fighter pay. You got guys who Tyron Woodley on the best day. Let's just say throwing a number out there, he makes $1 million a fight, which let's just say I don't know, but let's just say he makes $1 million on a fight. How much do you think he made fighting Jake Paul?
Millions. It had to be a
Crazy,
million to see.
millions. It's crazy. So I think everybody has an app. Look, they got Power Slap. I've never watched a Power Slap. I think it is obviously the dumbest thing. Well, no, I tell you, it's the second dumbest thing. The first dumbest thing I saw was it was like a branch off of Power Slap, but essentially you have like linebacker size dudes running at each other.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It
It's
was.
it's
It's
it's insane.
that that has to be legit, pound for pound, next to Power Slap, the dumbest shit I've actually ever heard in my life. Because I was
Ever.
speaking to a few of my friends, and they're some are casual, some are hardcores. They have all came in agreements that instead of Power Slap, why doesn't Dana invest in a Muay Thai or a kickboxing league instead of fucking Power Slap?
Dude, okay, so I 100%. That's where I'm at. But here's the thing: for whatever reason, no one. I've been asking this question for 15 years. Why isn't kickboxing a thing in the states? You have guys who will go to MMA fights. I've seen it. I've heard it. Whether it's on a UFC level to a local amateur level, right? You'll get people who go to fights, they will see some grappling taking place, they'll start booing, they're yelling at the referee, stand them up. And he's like, this is
Yeah, yeah.
MMA, like this is part of the show. If you and so all this fun, like if you want to see like that, go watch kickboxing or MMA. But for whatever reason, I to this day I still don't get it. No one supports it.
Hmm.
I have no
Yeah.
idea. So I think I had this conversation with Mick years ago, and his response to me was that Back in like the '90s when kickboxing was like pretty big, you know, guys that had the long pants on and stuff like that. It was kind of like a point fighting style of kickboxing, and his explanation was that so many people correlate kickboxing to that, even though that's not what it is. Like it's literally MMA without the ground when you think about it, or Muay Thai, particularly Muay Thai, right? Um, but people can't disassociate the kickboxing pants from like the '90s to kickboxing today, and I don't know. Like to your point of with the investment, that would have been dope. That would have been, and if you would have had someone like Dana White push kickboxing, currently the way he's pushing Zuffa boxing, imagine if there was a Zuffa kickboxing like
Yeah,
10 years
yeah.
ago. Power slap wouldn't be a thing. You would probably. I remember it was Lion. So it was Lion Fight, who puts on great fights. I watched them. And then you had Glory Kickboxing, who I've shot a few of their fights. I have friends who fought on their cards. Um, they put on dope fights. But imagine if, and again, given my the capitalist in me, and also like I understand like yes, a monopoly, but also nobody's doing this shit. Imagine if Dana would have bought Glory
Mhm.
like he did with Pride back in the day. Imagine what we could have had. But no, this motherfucker out here was like, we're gonna give you power slap. And we was like, no one asked for this stupid shit. I remember when it came out, I was like, who asked for this dumb shit? No one asked for fucking power slap. We could have had Zupa kickboxing, bro.
Oh my god.
But yeah, so I think that that's what it comes down to.
Oh,
Why
jeez.
kickboxing hasn't flourished. I love kickboxing. I love it for the rule set. I like Muay Thai a little bit more because it's a little bit more violent. But all kickboxing, you just don't have you don't have elbows and you don't have reinforced knees. Other than that, it's kick or it's Muay Thai. It's less bloody, it's less violent. So go watch it. But no, they're like, we're gonna give you power slap instead. And it's like this is crazy. Um yeah, I don't know. I just think I don't remember what the original question was, but oh, we'll go back to influencers. So coming back to influencers, given that people inherently just want to fight to sell it. Look, we used to duel in this country. We just
Yeah,
like
yeah.
someone disrespect you, you smack them in the face. I challenge you to a duel. You go out there, pull out a pistol, and shoot somebody. Um, Although like I think that's pretty stupid. We do have unarmed mutual combat laws. And look, the crazy thing about it, right? Since I'm like fighting, I'm on the back end fighting, right? Um, I've had like all these trolls that come into my DMs. I'm like, yo, let's fight. How about that? Let's fight. And no one ever wants to fight. I'm like, you talk all this shit online. You say I suck. You say you can beat me in a fight. I give you an opportunity to come and fight me. And I'm not going to fight you.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, shut the fuck up then. Like, what are you talking about?
That actually goes
So
on.
two influencer fighting. Okay. So influencer fighting. I think that is why the popularity is growing. And then you got the guys like Jake. You have these dudes who are now accumulating mad amounts of money, and you can get people because that's what like all promotion is like. Who can put a bunch of money behind some stuff?
Mhm.
That's all promoting is. If you got a whole bunch of money and you like fighting, it's like that's your. I know people out here who do it. Like they don't promote shows and fights to make money. Um, I know someone personally who only puts it because he just loves fight. He's like, I got a bunch of money and I want to hang out with my friends and fights. And that was
Mhm.
the only reason he got into promoting
Mhm.
fights, which is look, if that's your thing, if I had that type of money, I'd probably do it myself. You know, but I would probably be the one I want to fight the dudes myself.
So that actually goes into my next point. I had actually now I'm very unfamiliar, so just for warning here is I'm very unfamiliar. Like if there was anyone out of the scrap pack that I'm very unfamiliar with, is of course, if I'm correct in saying your arch nemesis, Jake Shields.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay.
Um, I heard him diss you. Was there ever a point? that instead of the interaction that took place, that there was ever going to potentially be a professional fight instead of that interaction.
Okay, so let me break down how all of this came about. I think it was probably like 2022-ish, maybe. It was several years back. Again, I used to like Jake, not like him as a person, but although like his thing is just like taking guys down and holding them, like it was cool to watch him back in the day, right? Back in the Strikeforce days. Um, I He's a former world champion. I I have never issued a challenge to fight Jake Shields in an MMA fight. Like, makes that's stupid. But how it all of this came about, Jake Shields was on. He went on like this racist rant on Twitter years ago, and he was talking about some black women, very very racist, disparaging remarks. So I just responded. I was like, "Yo, why are you being a racist?" It was that's basically what it is. I don't remember exactly what I said, but it was why are you being a racist, Jake Shields? His
Mm.
response to me was, "Let's fight." And I was like, "Wait, I'm trying to have a conversation with you about why you are being a racist." He responds again, let's fight." And I'm like, "Jake, I don't want to fight you. Like, that doesn't make any sense." And he kept going on. When I see you, it's on site. I was like, it's on site because I asking you why you're being racist. So then we're going back. So then I just start. I understand like these types of people. They are white nationalists and racists. They're very like they put on this tough guy role, but they're all sensitive. Like, they just people don't really like them like that. Like, outside like
Mhm.
that, they don't have real friends because they're like shitty people. So Jake just he's going off. I'm like, bro, you're hurt right now. I get it. Whatever. You're still a racist, but whatever. So I gone on about my day. So he told me he was on site, and I was like, all right, whatever. Like, when am I ever gonna see this guy? So fast forward to the interaction we had at the PR from the video. At this time, I'm recovering from face surgery for
Mhm.
one, and I'm just kind of I'm at the PI, and I was just getting a workout in with one of the coaches. I was doing like some pads or whatever, and so he comes in, and he was like, "Oh, like I get So where we were, there were upstairs the PI, and like there was nobody. I think it was maybe one other person up in that area. But like when you're doing something and you can feel somebody like looking at you from behind.
Yeah, yeah,
So
I've had that feeling many times.
I'm hitting past and I have this feeling. So I stop and then I look over and it's like Jake Shields with two other guys, and he just sitting there like bugging me like. And so I'm looking like, all right, it's Jake Shields. Like, okay, like so I'm trying to get back to pass. And he was like, "Oh, it's Mike Jackson. It's the racist Mike Jackson." I'm like, dude, like, all right, whatever. Now, again, remember, I'm recovering from face. I have like my jaw's like essentially like wired shut almost at this time. And so I'm trying to blow the guy off, but again, going back to racists being cowards and sensitive, his whole thing was he was trying to provoke me to fight him. And I was like, first of all, I never agreed to fight you in a street fight, nor have I agreed to fight you in MMA. And so what happened was, I was like, look, if you want to fight me, the terms I gave him were, you'll come to Houston, we'll meet at the gym. He because he like messes my coach and some other dumb shit. So I'm like, look, you'll come to Houston, you'll meet me at my gym. We'll put on like some 8 or 10 ounce boxing gloves on, and there'll be no round limit, no time limit, and we'll just fight. These are the terms that I present to you. And he was just like, "Nah, I don't want to do all that. It's on site." So I was like, "All right, bro, whatever." So we're at the PI. He's trying to provoke me. So finally, like, you know what? Like, he's essentially like chasing. Like I'm kind of like just sidestepping and backpedaling. Like, dude, like I'm not trying to fight you right now. Like I'm trying to de-escalate the situation essentially. And so finally, I'm like, all right, you got like you want the upstairs, bro? You got it. So I'm going to get my things, and as I'm turning around to like leave, the dude grabs me from behind and pulls me to the ground. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, first of all, like, what are you doing? Like, cause people are like, oh, you agreed to fight Jake. That doesn't make sense. Like, if I would have agreed to fight Jake, we were literally on the outside of the cage, the octagon that's there. So if we would have agreed to a fight, we would have been inside the cage fighting. But for whatever reason, he attacked me from behind, won the ground, he gets on top of me. So in that moment, all I could think about is like, yo, like, don't let this dude hit you in the face because you just, I forget my mouth is wired shut, right? So that's why in the video, so also the video that I had no idea someone was recording by this time. So at first it was just him and two other guys, but by the time this is happening, it's like an extra, like it's probably like six people total, 6 or 7 people, and he's on top of me, and I'm kind of covering up because I don't want to do like because he's punching me, he's trying to throw elbows and everything, and I was like, all right, don't let this dude hit you in the face. And I'm cool, like I'm not thinking like I'm about to die or anything. I'm like, all right, we're at the PI. We got the TV, the closed circuit cameras. I'm like, eventually someone's gonna see what's going on and come. Like they got security and all these things there, and so I was like, eventually, like this thing is gonna like someone's gonna pull him off. So finally, like everything just like finally, guys like, all right, Jake, that's enough. You can get like his coach or whatever was there, and they pulled me out. And I was like, yo, like y'all gonna let this fucking thug like do all like what are we doing here? Like I never agreed to fight you in a street fight. So fast forward, then he was like, all right, you want to box? Let's box. And I was like, oh shit, like we can let's do it. So I tried to set it up, and then he's just like, no, I don't want to box you. I want to fight. I want to fight you like bare knuckle. Like he wanted, essentially, Jake Shields has this fetishization of black men, me in particular, and he wants to like take me down and like dry hump me. And I'm like, dog, I don't want to roll around on the ground with you. Like everyone knows what Jake Shields wants to do with other men. I said, if you want to fight me, then let's fight. But the crazy thing about all of this is that he's always been upset that I called him a Nazi, which is insane to me because all he does is Nazi things. This dude he's on camera, on video, giving Nazi salutes. He's on camera talking about how he admires Hitler. Like, you should have, me calling Jake Shields a Nazi, he should have been like, all right, cool. But he took offense, which again, it goes to his fragility as a man, his fragility as a fighter, that all this started with me saying, yo, you're a racist. He responds like, oh, I want to fight you. And I say no. And instead of just taking his L, he attacks me from behind. And then, I had to press charge. Because again, like, you want to attack somebody behind, I got to make an example out of you, which is why the press charges things came about. And so, yeah, it's like, it's just really weird behavior. But again, he's a coward. And the challenge is still there. I've offered it to him several times. He'll jump in the comments or whatever. Um, he seeks attention from like internet trolls. And it's really weird. It's like, look, if you want to prove that you're not a bitch and a coward, fight me on the terms that you agreed to. But he'll never do that, and he just likes to get sucked off by internet trolls, which is really weird. I don't get it.
Yeah, because I actually do remember someone had actually brought me they had actually brought me the clip of Jake explaining his side to the story, and like I honestly, like, I just got like
Well,
more
so I haven't
confused.
listened, but what was his side? I don't listen to his interview, but what was his side?
He was saying that you were in fact the racist. That was his side. He was saying that you were the racist. That's what his side was.
So that is so that being if that is the foundation of your argument, you've already lost because that's not like I can't be racist. Like I'm not a white nationalist. I'm that's not. that's me being a racist is like saying unicorns. Like it's not a real thing, but it's only a thing within actual racist head because they can't accept accountability for their actions. So to his argument is like I'm the racist. Like that that makes no sense, my guy. Like what are you talking about?
So there is the opening for 2026. We could actually still see, but instead of it just being like like that kind of interaction, it could actually be proper. So we could potentially see Jake Shields and Mike Jackson in either mixed martial arts or boxing.
I would it would never be MMA because like that doesn't make like again. So again, I'm aware of his skill set. Like again, that's just like me. Why would I go up into like an architect, right? And it's like, yo, I can build this building better than you, and I have no architectural background, right? I've never competed at the level of Jake Shields in MMA. He's a former world champion. It doesn't make any sense for me to get into a MMA fight with Jake Shields. And I explained it to him like, look, that's stupid. I said, but to even if you want to, let's have a fair fight. And again, I told him like, we'll do boxing. Like you say you can box me or whatever. Let's do boxing gloves with no time limit. We go till I kill it because my whole plan is to bludgeon him, or you just quit. Like you get the pick, and for me, that seems pretty fair. Like it's two guys. You say you want to fight. Here's the opportunity. We go until nobody can go anymore. And he's just like, nah, because he knows I will give him severe brain damage. Just like I told, and not to talk about this, but just like I told Pat Miletich, I told him before the fight, I said, be prepared to die in this cage tonight. And Pat Miletich was not prepared to die because when he was sitting on the stool between rounds 2 and 3, he was over there. He's like, I can't breathe. And I was like, well, you picked this fight, so let's finish it. He was like, nah, I quit. So like, bro, like you weren't prepared to. I told you be prepared to die. You wasn't prepared to die. So for Jake Shields as well, he has to be prepared to die. Even in boxing, like I will do bad things for Jake Shields in the boxing ring, and that is why he doesn't want to fight me under that skill set or under that rule set. And it's unfortunate because the guy is he's an internet Nazi, which is really weird. Like you talk all this shit about you it's kind of like the Andrew Tate thing, right? Which is crazy. I'm about to say this. I have more respect for Andrew Tate than Jake Shields, given that at least Andrew Tate will go fight a guy. Like he'll talk a bunch of shit. He's like, all right, I'm gonna fight this guy, and he did it. Like Jake Shields talks a bunch of shit on the internet, and then when I was like, all right, let's fight, he's like, I don't want
Mhm.
to fight. So I'm on
So
Jake Shields.
So two more things before we before I think we can come to a conclusion. What is next for Mike Jackson? Are we going to see you more active in the octagon or the ring? Are you going to start making much more of a presence on social media? What's next?
Well, the social media is always there. That's been my thing. Guys can follow me on Instagram, Shits and Giggles brand. I'm on Twitter at the Truth Jackson. Facebook is Mike the Truth Jackson. Social media is always going to be there, but I'm an entrepreneur, man. So for me, MMA is like it doesn't make like Pat Miletich was my last fight for MMA. But if I get the opportunity to do like some boxing or kickboxing, look, I'm down with that. Like that would be a good time.
Mhm,
Um, outside of fighting, look, I'm still doing the photography. That's my main passion right now. But look, we're an entrepreneur, so whatever comes about,
mhm.
that's hell, baby. Uh, I'm on the interview, baby. I'll talk to you in a second, though. I'm
So
talking to somebody. But yeah, so yeah, that's what we're gonna do some entrepreneur stuff or for a fun. But look, I want to fight Jake Shields. This is not a thing that I'm gonna ever give up until the day I die. Look, if I want that really bad. So yeah, like that's what we out here doing.
So, as someone like myself, I've obviously my fire kind of started in 2022, where I originally wanted to compete. I started in Muay Thai, but
Okay.
I but I forgive me, sorry. I first started off with Taekwondo, then I moved over to kickboxing when I was a child, and then moved over to Muay Thai when I turned 20 years of age. And then I was kind of like thinking, but like the thing was with the crew that I was with, I didn't see how I could progress, and instead I just didn't feel like maybe Muay Thai was the best. Instead, I wanted to try to train all areas. So I'm officially signing up to a proper mixed martial to an actual MMA gym on April 28th. So as someone that
Solid shit.
has done fighting, what would be
So
your
real quick, when
advice?
I first started training, when I first started training, I walked into the gym April 1st, and I haven't looked back since. So shout out to my guy for stepping in there in April. That's a good month. That's a good month to do it.
Yeah.
But what was your question? What's my advice for you?
Yeah, so I'm going to I will be asking this to my guest tomorrow, Ben Parrish. Looking forward to that interview. Um, what would be your advice for someone like me that wants to try to train MMA and potentially win? Let's just say, because like here in Ireland, we have we obviously have amateur shows. It's you guys have amateur shows as well. But what we have is we call it for All Ireland titles. And so, what would you say to me that if I wanted to come to you and say that I wanted to win the EFC championship, like what would be your main advice?
Well, what is your my first question to you? I know you say you win the championship, but what is your ultimate goal with fighting?
My ultimate goal is that I want to win. I want to win championships for Ireland.
At what level, amateur or pro?
Amateur level, amateur at least.
Okay. I would say, well, first you have to really be you understand the amount of work that goes into competing in MMA. Even to step in there, it takes a certain level of work ethic, right? But and again, so that's one level just to step foot. You can be the worst fighter ever, but it takes something to get to walk inside of the cage. Um, the second level would be to be just a mediocre guy. Above that will be like a contender level, and then so I look at it in about four different groups, right? Um, well, actually, before so let me tell you a quick story. So there's this guy I know back in the day, and he was a jiu-jitsu competitor, and he was looking to make his amateur MMA debut. Now, this guy, he was in the military, like he had seen like combat. Like he'd been in some military engagements. He's had people shooting at him from different, from other parts of the world, right? So he's seen some shit. And I always tell people it's like when you walk into a cage, it's a feeling that when you walk into a cage, you know the guy that's staring across from you is essentially trying to incapacitate you, right? Really trying to knock you out or strangle you or whatever. Like that takes like you're gonna be nervous. It takes a certain level of like what the fuck am I doing here, right? You have to be able to pass that. And so this particular guy though, he's done the jiu-jitsu, he's done some competitions, he's been to war. He's like, I'm making my MMA debut. And I remember seeing him at weigh-ins. He cut weight and everything, but he still looked good. Looking up at his guy, he's like ready to go. I see him on fight day, early before the arena opens. We're kind of just in there. I'm in the venue, like this. Remember, I'm doing my blogs and stuff back in the day. So I get there early, and I see the guy. We cross paths. Like I'm walking this way, and I looked him dead in his eye, and he had this
Mhm.
look on his face because what he's seeing, the arena we're in, he's seeing where the cage is set up, and he's seeing all these empty seats, right? That's around, and all those empty seats are going to be looking at you. And so for him, he wasn't prepared for that. And he went out there, and although this man had been in war or battle, he's jiu-jitsu competitions, he had nothing for it. He had nothing for that moment, and he got hurt in that fight. But to that, if you can't, so I tell people it's like there's levels to it. Like sparring at a gym, then there's like fighting in a smoker, and then fighting at an amateur level. Those are three different scenarios, right? Of people watching you. You may have sparring in a gym, you may have 5 people or 10 people watching you. At a smoker, you may have. Well, I've been at smokers where you probably gonna have 500 people there, and I I remember fighting on the Dustin Poirier undercard as an amateur, and it was 10,000 people in the arena. So to that, coming back to circle, is to be able to walk into a cage in itself, you have to remember it's a performance. Whether you're doing stand-up comedy, whether you're playing basketball, or whether you're fighting, you're entertaining people. So first of all, you have to be comfortable with people watching you perform. If you're not comfortable with that, fighting isn't for you. I didn't tell
Mhm.
people, it's like you can be Anderson Silva in the gym, but if you can't perform in front of people, none of that matters because
Mhm.
that's the important role, right? So to that is my main thing that I want to put on to competitors, you in particular, if this is what you choose to pursue, is you have to be able to perform, and you have to whatever however you block that out. Me personally, I'm comfortable being in front of the camera. I'm comfortable with people staring at me, right? For other people, you have to be able to block it out. You have to be able to picture people naked, whatever your thing is to
Mhm.
make you comfortable. I actually, as I say that, that's the most important thing that I'll pass on to you is you have to be comfortable with being the center of attention and a very one of the most hostile environments you'll ever be put in your life. That's my advice to you.
Perfect. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you once again for tuning into and new episode 12, the Truthful Insight featuring Mike Jackson. Mike, thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate you coming on to the show. And just again, I'm very grateful. And please, everyone, if you are watching, go ahead and give this man a follow, show him some support, and even let's get the Mike Jackson versus Jake Shields fight for 2026.
Let's get it, my guy, my guy. Let's go, my guy.
All
Oh,
right.
big time, baby. Let's go.
All right. Thank you and goodbye.